Good morning and welcome to Business Time Live with Mags Boland at Boffin Consultancy. This morning, I would like to introduce you all to the lovely Orla Kelly from Orla Kelly Publishing in the lovely county of Cork. I am going to talk all things self-publishing and a little bit of crack and life and all those pieces in between with Orla now. Okay, so this, as usual, Business Time Live, where we discuss all things business and life and everything in between. So first off, I'd like to introduce you to Orla Kelly from Orla Kelly.
Morning, Max.
Morning, Orla. How are you? How are things in the Rebel County?
We're still rebelling.
Well, I'd be disappointed if you didn't now, in fairness.
You find something to rebel about, even if there's nothing to rebel.
And you know what? Cork is a mighty county. I lived there for quite a number of years and I've only nothing but fond memories of it. Orla, tell everybody here a little bit about, first of all, about yourself, I suppose, and how you became this fantastic self-employed self-publisher working with loads and loads of different individuals around the world and around Ireland and helping them to put their stories on paper.
Oh, thanks, Max. Yeah, I suppose I come from an environmental consultancy background. I mean, I did science in college, I did biochemistry, and then I did a master's in environmental analytical chemistry. And you may say, oh my goodness, what has that got to do with publishing? And I suppose one of the biggest things I always say to people, and I say to my children now who are teens, is, you don't ever have to feel you're stuck or pigeonholed into one particular career. Us humans have the most remarkable ability to reinvent ourselves all the time. And I suppose reinvent myself, I did completely. I stumbled into publishing completely by accident over just 10 years ago. Actually, this September, my business was born. It started because my children were young. And I was telling them stories one time, and my son has written a little story for his sister, and it was time for bed. And the story was unfinished, and he begged me that he would go to bed if I finished the story for him. But I think any parent will probably agree with me. When you're frazzled, exhausted, you would promise the sun, moon, and stars to get your child to bed.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I made that promise. Yes, I'll finish that story for you, not having a clue what I had signed up for. But when I saw this beautiful little story written in pencil on a scrap of paper and read it, it was about a little butterfly who wanted to fly to the rainbow to change the color of its wings because it felt not good enough and didn't like the color of its wings. Its wings were just white. And in that, as a parent, I saw so many things. I saw self-esteem issues. I saw inferiority. I saw feeling worthless, not happy with appearance. And I just thought, as a parent, the lessons I could build in, but in a story format that they wouldn't listen to as mum, but they would if I expanded on the story, but integrated little life lessons and wisdom into it that would actually empower children. And so they loved it. And every night I just found myself stepping into a totally different universe. It was children's stories. That was far from my background with just technical, analytical, scientific. But I found stepping into this creative, imaginative world of a child, I absolutely loved it. And it was only one evening after I read my latest installment to my daughter, who was, I think, 7 at the time. And she said, Mom, will you print it out for us? And out of my mouth, I don't know where it came, I said, I'll do one better. I'm going to teach myself how to publish it. And she squealed with absolute delight. And I suddenly realized, what am I after doing here? So basically, I had made my children a promise. I was going to print it out. But then I said, well, I think these lessons could work for other children, not just mine. So I taught myself how to design the book internally, put into book format, design the cover, get it online on Amazon, sell it, and get it printed. And they loved it. And I suppose really my business has taken off from there because I wasn't working in this area, but I happened to tell somebody one day, and they directed me to an entrepreneur program. And 6 months later, my Orla Kelly Publishing was born.
Orla, that's fantastic. And you know something, it's great to see it's always great to hear the how of and the why of how a business started. And there's so many bits in that now that I personally could talk to you about, but one of the two things that stood out to me there that I want to just go back on with you, if it's okay, is you said something really, really, in my mind, it's really cool, that you don't have to stick to the one discipline forever in your life. You know, you did the science piece, and my God, I don't know if I could do biochemistry, but fair play to you. But you did that, and then you were able to go into another completely different avenue. And to me, I say that as well to my daughter, but I also say it to youngsters that come into us on TY work experience. You don't have to, yes, absolutely, education is really important. And I think it's a privilege to have an opportunity to have an education. But, and it's an entitlement that everyone should have. But I think as well, sometimes we get stuck, you know, youngsters as well still think, well, less so now than in our day, but they think, well, we have to stick to this now because we've studied it at college. Whereas you can always chop and change. You can, you know, change up what you do, and discover different parts to yourself. And I think that's something there that just resonated with me a little bit.
Absolutely. And, you know, it does show you. And if anything, I find people might say, well, you know, are you a serious publisher then? I mean, people work with people. Yes, I can do the same job as another publisher and same service, but really it's down to the personality. Who do you want to work with? Do you want to work with somebody who maybe has passion in their voice, fire in their belly, is excited about your book, and, you know, is happy to share their expertise and bring you on a journey with them, versus somebody who will just say, yeah, sure, send me your manuscript and I'll publish it. I mean, it's all about, clients want experiences now. They want to have positive experiences. And really, it's relationships is what makes or breaks any business.
Absolutely, Orla, I agree with you wholeheartedly. And tell us a little bit about I know you have a program that you've just launched. Tell us a little bit about that, actually.
That program I've been promising myself for years, more years than I care to admit, to launch. But you know what? I was actually terrified. It's so ridiculous when I look back. I was terrified. And it reminded me of the terror I felt when I first published my little children's books. I was afraid of being judged. What if it wasn't good enough? And it's so ridiculous. I literally just pressed the button on it only a few weeks ago.
Sometimes you have to do that. You just have, sorry for interrupting you. Sometimes you just gotta go, right, go hell for leather, give it a shot, and let it go. Because sometimes if you don't do that, it'll never happen. And I know that for myself, you know. I
was the only one getting in my own way. And I remember, like, even when I launched it, and, you know, even when, like, we're on week 3 now, we've just done week 3. And I remember even the first day I was doing it, I told the material, I knew this stuff, but at the same time, the doubts just set in. And I remember in the afternoon, I said, I'll do a practice run, and I couldn't put 2 words together. I was like somebody, I just said to myself, oh my goodness, this is going to be a disaster. But you know what? As soon as people showed up, I got on camera with them. Suddenly the fears just disappeared. And the only thing I had to remember was press the record button, and everything else just flowed. I was in my zone. And I was kicking myself afterwards. I was buzzing after it. I said, why didn't I do this sooner? And it's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. And again, I think the people on the program with me are getting massive value. And I think a lot of the value comes from not just the content, but the fact that on that call with me for the hour every week, they can ask me whatever questions they want and know that I will give them the right information that's for them. There's no hidden agendas, and it's very refreshing and it's empowering for them, because there's overload of information out there, and unfortunately not all of it is right. This program is to help people to self-publish, I presume. It is, but particularly it's not for fiction. It's for if you are a leader, a trainer, coach, a consultant, and you should have your own book to show, not just show your authority, but also if you're finding you're having the same conversations over and over with people and you're saying to yourself, there has to be a better way for me to do this. And it's taking longer to get people over the line to work with you. I work with people because I'm working with books the last 10 years. I'm taking them over an 8-week program every week, step by step. They are given items to do. They're given insights as to why we do this in this way, because success is all about doing things in a certain way. So I give them exactly what they need. They do their homework. We get on the call together. I give them feedback. They ask me any questions, and then we go to the next stage. But I structure the course particularly so that they are empowered from the very beginning. So it's not like I'm waiting till week 4 to give them something that they wish they had at week 1 because it would have affected how they wrote the book. I'm very much about giving you the correct information in the right way.
And where can people find out more about that, Orla?
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm starting to take in more people for my next program, which I'd say will be ready to go in the next few weeks again, because I'm having so much fun delivering it as well, and also the fact that there is demand for it. So really, I think the best thing at the moment, Mags, is if people email me on orla@orlakellypublishing.com, or go to my contact form and ask for more information about it, and I can send it to people. Because again, it's the transformation and the aha moments I'm actually seeing on the calls with people is fantastic, because a lot of time people have been procrastinating for years, done nothing about it, know they should, and now is the time.
What do you see, Orla? You know, you work with so many different writers and so many different types of people that come to you. I know you do some storybooks.
I do.
Biographies, business books. What do you think is the biggest mistake people make when they decide, okay, I'm going to write a book now, and I'm going to put everything into it? What do you think is the biggest false assumption that people make when they start that process?
Yeah, I've seen so many books that could be absolutely amazing, but they're quite generic. They don't really show personality. I think a lot of professionals are almost afraid to show personality. You're not selling your soul or sharing your deepest, darkest fears and everything just to make people feel your body. It's not about that, but it is about showing like personality as in, would I like to work with this person? Can I relate to this person? But it's about actually just having your authentic tone of voice carried through in a book. And a lot of people, their books are quite lackluster, and they're not inspiring or informative. They're not different to what's already out there. They're not really showing how they can relate to somebody and build engagement, show their authority, but in a natural, not spammy way, but deliver massive value and bring the reader on a transformational journey. So the biggest, I suppose, aspect I find is the books miss a trick. They miss the strategy. I'm all about ensuring that books have strategy built into them. So it's a win-win for the author and it's a win-win for the reader.
No, that's really, really important. But going back there to something that you actually mentioned, right? And it's something I am always talking about, is I suppose the piece of goes back to why we all start in business, right? That you've this the preconception of you have to be a certain way. You can't do this, you can't do that. I don't know whether it's in the Irish psyche or where it comes from, but that inability in a lot of ways to be yourself in every sense of the word, and to be your authentic self and bring a bit of you to the table. People still have that little bit of fear, Orla, don't they? Like that, God, what will people think?
Most definitely, because I remember even myself, because I'd come from a totally different background. Even when I published my children's books, I told nobody for months, absolute months, because I was fear of being judged, thinking, did I have notions you know, who did I think I was? What if they hated the books? Could I deal with rejection and bad reviews? And it's all these barriers we set up for ourselves. But I think one of the biggest things people feel is, I haven't the time to do this. Whereas that's why this particular program is very different, in that there's not only live training and expert insights, but it's all about accountability as well, and doing things with ease and flow. I don't, you know, I want to show people that there is a way you can actually, you don't even have to have your book finished, but have the structure in 8 weeks, so you know exactly what you need to write the right way, and then you can finish it in your own time. But you are doing it the right way with me as I suppose as an expert and guide in that way, which is very, very empowering. And I feel a lot of professionals hold themselves back because they're afraid of being judged, because they're experts in their field. But when you put things into book and you're not a natural author, of course you're going to feel really vulnerable. And I suppose that's where I have my clients back. I will never have anything published, released, distributed, unless I know it is them at their very best, authentic, engaging, brilliant self, not an ego-driven book.
Yeah, no, and it can't be, because I suppose people can see through that as well.
Yes.
And can I ask you something, Orla, right? What
Yeah.
is, just pick the biggest lesson you've learned in life and in business that you can think of right now?
Oh, I suppose, do you know what? The biggest lesson in business, I suppose, I have learned is, and to be honest, it's a personality thing for me as well, is that sometimes the lines got blurred between it being a business versus me loving it so much that it almost became like a hobby.
Yeah.
And hobbies don't pay the bills.
No, 100% they don't.
They don't, you know. And also, you know, sometimes like, as we all do, we can make wrong business decisions. We can sometimes base them based on emotion versus really what's right for our business. 100% guilty as charged. In life, I never thought I would be doing this. If you were to say to me 10 years ago, this is what I would be doing, I would probably have laughed, because I wouldn't have thought it was even in me. But I actually, the fact I'm doing it 10 years later, and I remember when I started, I thought, how am I going to compete with the big boys, as I say, you know, like, you know, the big publishers and everything. But you know what? I underestimated the value of human connection, people, you know, happy with your service, and just sharing word of mouth, organic feedback, delivering, bringing people back to me. And the fact, I suppose, I work with clients now all around the world. I love flying the flag for Ireland. I do. I get such a kick when I have clients in Australia, New Zealand, Canada, USA, Germany, UK, and knowing that the books there have Orla Kelly Publishing logo on the back of the book. It just, to me, I just love it. I get such a kick. And the day I stop getting a kick out of what I do is when I'm going to just, you know, hang up my boots.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with you, Orla, on that one. I always say the same thing: the day I stop learning is the day I'll close the doors.
Yeah.
And it is funny when you think back. I suppose everyone has a little bit of a journey, don't they? And you think back on where you started from and how far you've come. And there's no one going to take a minute to acknowledge that the majority of the time, except ourselves.
Yeah.
And I think as women in business as well, and there's lots of great men out there as well that I work with, and I know in business, but I think particularly for females, it's that kind of that imposter syndrome that kicks in from time to time. We see that a lot, and it's great to see someone like this, like yourself, flying the flag for Ireland, and being really proud of it. And I think, you know, there's a lot of startups starting now. And I suppose, what would you share with a startup, anyone that has, I suppose, any semblance of a little idea brewing in their head? What would you say is the most important thing for them to remember?
Do you know what? Like, there's only so many people you can talk to at any one particular time. But when you have a book, even if it's a small book, actually small books are selling really well. there's a bit of a change in the market, that whereas the much bigger few 100-page books are less common now, and more people are writing shorter books, but they're more niche, they're more specific on topics, and see that as more trails of breadcrumbs out there. So the more hands your books get into, people often think, well, how do I make my money back, you know, if I'm selling my book? And I'm just thinking, don't think that way. If you're a business professional, don't think of the income you're getting back as money from direct book sales. Think of each book as a strategic business card you are placing strategically in front of your ideal client, your ideal customer. So even if you're at a network event, in their company, at a business meeting, a lunch, a coffee, you're talking about a particular problem they have. And can you imagine suddenly saying to them, do you know, Pat, that problem you're having, I cover that in chapter 3 of my book. Would you like a copy? And as you're saying it, the words, your hand is reaching across the table, giving them a copy of your book. Pat is going to remember you when your tender comes across the table. Pat is going to remember you when he has a problem versus somebody who doesn't, because Pat's not going to bin your book. Nobody ever bins books. Business cards can get lost. You can't remember the person's name, but a book will always find the right home. It'll always have a belonging. And even if Pat doesn't need your book or has read your book and somebody else is talking, Pat's going to pass on your book, you know? So,
and actually it was really funny, Orla. I was speaking with a business owner there last week, and I love books. I absolutely love reading. I love learning. And I've never really, and this is, friends of mine will probably curse me now, or colleagues will curse me for saying this, but I've never really got on top of the ebook thing. I need a physical book in my hand, whether that's just the way I've always been. But during the conversation I had with this business owner, at the end of it, he said to me, Mag, you love books. I have 2 that I recommend to you. And they're 2 really, they're 2 really, really good ones. And I wrote them down and I've ordered them on Amazon.
okay.
And, you know, it's because you can't get them on the shelves at the moment, but it's great to see, like, I think myself, Orla, the ebooks are fantastic, and it's great, and particularly if you're traveling and you just have your iPad or whatever there. But I just think there's nothing like a physical book in your hand. And I think people are starting to go back that way as well.
They are, because Max, so we have so much screen time often as part of our normal day.
Yeah.
And it's hard, it's harder to engage with a screen. Whereas when you hold a book in your hands, there's something very tangible. It has a tangible value.
Yeah.
You know, and depending on whether you want to get your book printed on Amazon or whether you want to go to, say, a printer here in Ireland and get a beautiful book that maybe is a higher spec quality, you know, again, it's the front of your business, it's your business face. So really see it as an extension of yourself. So really, I'm 100% behind you. I'm the same. Plus, anybody can, I suppose, almost like bring out ebooks. And they're fine, as you said, they have their use if you need information fast while you're waiting for a print book to come. But I think for any business leader, it does set you apart when it is in print format, completely, 100%.
Yeah. And what kind of books, just yourself personally, do you love? Just to set in the businesses?
Oh my gosh.
What kind of
Yeah.
books?
Oh, well, to be honest with you, I'm actually in a reading group every morning, well, Monday to Friday, with 2 girls from the UK, and we read motivational books. We would read Earl Nightingale, Neville Goddard, all those type of books, mindset books every morning. And Mondays and Fridays, we watch inspirational videos, we comment on them. So it's brilliant. We're doing a 30-day challenge at the moment, and we met in a different type of group. But for me, I love books that are to do with copywriting skills, that are, again, like you, educational, that are about, you know, business, you know, like 10x is greater than 2x. I love those type of books that have, but not just, they're not textbooks, academic books. They engage you in the story, and I love how they're written. Dan Kennedy marketing books as well. I love those type of books. But when I want to chill out at nighttime, I do have to resort to a Kindle device, because I can't turn on the light and wake up my husband. So I read fiction, humorous fiction, just to slow the brain down and so I can sleep.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I love I love a good thriller, a good
Yeah.
crime, good gritty crime, and I love biographies. And
Yes.
whether that's a sports person or whether it's a business person, I love to get to see, I suppose, that authentic meatiness of the wholesome side of the human, to
Yes.
get to see their
Absolutely.
backstory, you know. But
Yes.
like yourself, I went on holiday during the summer and I ate my way through 4 books that were absolutely fiction. Well, one of them wasn't, it was a biography, but just pure fiction. And I'm going to give a shout out to one of our own esteemed Irish writers, Carmel Harrington, because I always buy her new
Oh,
book
yeah.
every year and I
Fantastic.
keep it for my holidays. And you just feel like you're away on another planet, on a nice planet. And it's kind of that escapism because it allows your head and your body to slow down a little bit. So I think reading as well, books can help you sleep better.
Definitely they do. It actually slows my brain down completely. I have a blue light on if I have to, or, blue light shading, but it does, because otherwise my brain doesn't know when to switch off.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think we're made like that as business owners.
Yeah.
Orla, just as a business owner now, not a book publisher, but as a business owner, I mentioned startups earlier on, and you mentioned about the books, that if anyone was writing a book now, what to go for. But just purely as a business owner,
Yeah.
what would be the one piece of advice you'd give to anyone out there now that is either at a startup stage or a change stage in their business, from your own experience?
Yeah, I think even for startups, and actually even a lot of tech startups there now at the moment, again, if you're looking for funding, if you're looking to stand out, be taken seriously, I would just think, even if you think, I don't know how to start, even just taking your own phone and just going out and about without analyzing your thoughts, just talk about your why, who you are, why you were driven to setting up the business or making the change that you are making in your life at this particular time. People fall in love with stories. Don't ever underestimate the power of your story, because that's what will connect people back to you as a business owner. It may have nothing to do with your business, but if people go, wow, I like that person, that is going to break so many barriers that may have stopped them from particularly going with you as a service provider. And again, I have seen, even in Dragon's Den, I've seen so many people, it's not so much a business, but if they see a spark in that person, they will fund that person, they will support that person, like literally doors will open. So I think one of the best ways to do it is, even if it's a short book, having it out there, getting it into the right hands, because people will read it. Nobody's going to ever pick up a book, even if it comes in post, and go, oh, dump it. Our natural inherent curiosity is to say, oh, what's this? This is different. And you're going to look through it. So again, I would just say, I stopped myself from launching this program. I stopped myself from telling people, even when I wrote my children's books, for this fear of being judged. And I would just feel, if anybody is to take anything from me, is just say, we need to actually just get out of our ways, give ourselves the benefit of the doubt. If we're doing something that fires us up and empowers us, that's going to show, that passion and is going to show in anything we release.
Yeah, and it kind of goes back to something my own dad said to me, paddle your own canoe and do it anyway. It's just do it and give it a shot. So the worst that can happen is, okay, it might not work, but the next effort might work. So, and I think that piece there, Orla, that you mentioned about the person, so true. So true. Like, people work with people. And if we think about it in our own businesses, we go to certain people to supply us with service or product because we have a relationship with that individual. We trust them, right? We know them, we understand them, they understand us. And I think the power of that is coming back. And I think it's important that, particularly in Ireland and also the world over, that we realize the power of relationships again, or we kind of re-engage with them. Because that's what makes the wheels turn, and that's what makes action happen and activity happen in business and in life. this stuff is pertinent to, yes, our professional life, but also our personal life as well. And it's that person behind everything, I think, even behind the screen, there's a person.
Absolutely. And I think, I mean, look, I mean, it's evident in our world today where relationships break down or where there are no relationships. And I think that's why, like, even the connections I've made with people over the years, you want to be able to refer somebody, you want to be able to say, you need to go to Mags, you need to go to Orla, you need to go. And it's because of those memories you have in your mind of that person are consolidated, because you know what it's like working with that person. You can recommend them.
Yeah.
Versus somebody you could just say, well, I work with such a person, they were fine, but you could, try around yourself. You want to be able to recommend somebody because you know the type of person that they actually are.
Yeah, no, 100%. 100%. So Orla, are books here to stay then?
Books are 100% here to stay. Books, print books, also audiobooks, because again, audiobooks are kind of starting to, ebooks is always going to be a place for ebooks, but audiobooks are really, really powerful as well, where people are on the move. A lot of people are, as you notice yourself, you go around, they're plugged into earbuds now and everything. And a lot of people, yes, some people are listening to music, but a lot of people are actually listening to podcasts, as we're doing here, but also audiobooks are very powerful.
I tell you one good thing about audiobooks. I don't think I've ever shared this with anyone, but when I was a child, I was quite sick, and I was on the flat of my back for a good while when I was a kid. And I loved, when I say I loved books, Orla, I absolutely ate books every week. I was in the library every week. It was and I was quite a shy child, so that was kind of my escapism. But I remember being really, really sick, and I couldn't really move a whole lot. And the old-fashioned tape recorder was there, but I used to get audiobooks brought out from the library.
Oh.
And I would listen to them. Yeah. And do you know what? It was brilliant because you could actually, and that's why, just remember that, if God forbid, if someone is sick or someone is incapable of, or just doesn't have the energy, I suppose, a lot of the time, that it's kind of like the old-fashioned podcast, if that makes sense, or the old-fashioned audiobook now that we're so, familiar with. But they were on tape, little tape cassettes years ago, and they were brilliant because I could still lie there and not just look at the ceiling or look at the wall, but I had a book to listen to. So, you still have that magic piece of somebody, reading the book to you, if that makes sense.
I do. And again, books are used for escapism, they're used for creativity, they're used for entertainment. And I say they're actually companions. I see books as companions. And I know, do you know, when you have an expert or even anybody writing a book, the value that they deliver is in the power of the story and how they build connections with their readers. And some of the best insights and aha moments I've had have been from things I have read in books and go, oh, can I apply this to my business? Or I've always wondered that, and they've answered. It's probably the cheapest form of consultancy you can get access to as well.
Yeah, true. And knowledge, and you can get little ideas. And that's probably the bad side of me reading a book, because I'll be jotting down things, and that's why it's good to have the balance between a business book and maybe a non-fiction or a fiction book.
Yes.
That you can have that little bit of escapism as well. Orla, absolutely brilliant to speak with you. I'm looking forward to seeing how this program goes. I would urge anyone that is interested in self-publishing and getting their story on paper and using it either as a strategic piece in their business or just simply to have a book written, which might be on their bucket list, then look up Orla Kelly Publishing online. And I know she's a very accessible person that'll be happy to speak to anyone. Orla, thank you so much for your time. And I'm looking forward to hearing more from you and all the books that you are going to publish over the coming years.
No pressure.
No pressure. But I know you're doing mighty at the moment, and it's great.
Thank you. Yeah, and I'd love anybody who maybe is just saying, I wonder, is this for me, or would just like to have an exploratory conversation. Absolutely. I'd love to just go to my website, orlakellypublishing.com, and contact me that way. That would be fantastic. And thank you so much, Mags, for having me as a guest on your podcast today.
Orla, you're very welcome. Thanks to everyone for listening. and have a very good day ahead. We will see you soon from Business Time Live and Boffin Consultancy. Many thanks.